It's sort of a revelation to them that they may be giving themselves cancer and other diseases by wearing polyester, nylons, etc. Now, this has been a lifelong search for me, believe me, because it's difficult to get natural fiber clothing and organic clothing. So, as an example, with my suits, when I buy 100% wool, or 100% linen, 100% cotton suits, quite often I have to have the interior taken out, the polyesters and viscose, etc., and silks placed into them. Another thing we do, just to be safe, is you can get an inexpensive vinegar, buy 4 liters or approximately a gallon, put some warm water inside of your bathtub and let those suits soak, or those questionable garments soak in there, and then let them drip dry. And if you're fortunate enough, as many people are now, to have soy-based organic dry cleaners near where they live, that's a good way to have it cleaned up after that. We can also dry clean. There are companies, if you look this up on the internet, inside of your own homes, inside of your own laundry. And so that's another way to go with it. More and more organic demand is going to create more and more good garments for people. As important as it is to think positive thought, eat great food that's whole and living and raw, exercise the body, believe me, wearing proper clothes stacks up right next to them. Somebody writes to me about edemic conditions in their legs after they did a long juice fast. Now, this can be something that's very light, and it could be something more concerning. Number one, I would strongly advise that you go to a competent physician and make sure your cardiovascular system is all in order. Because one of the things we see with swelling in the legs and the feet is it often, not always, often is directly linked to the heart. Number two, the edema condition may be from poor circulation. And so things like lymphatic drainage, things like baths in Epsom salts, soaking your feet, these can also be helpful. But make sure you go first and rule in or rule out the first big problem that it could be. It may be the salt consumption from your previous life, and hopefully you're not adding salt in at this point. So it's a multitude of factors that we see cause this, but make sure we are doing the best and safest thing you can. Somebody writes with quite a compilation of bad information here, thinking that walnuts create heart disease. Number one, that's the furthest from the truth you can imagine. They are a pretty good source, not a great source, of omega-3 oils. Better than them would be sprouted chia seeds, sprouted flaxseed, hemp seeds. In many countries you can buy the seeds and sprout them. Always sprouted is best. And then you would get to walnut and walnut oil, maybe not third, but fourth, fifth, or sixth on the list. Number two, we would never have advised here at Hippocrates that you eat a nut and a grain together. So somehow this person was misinformed or misunderstood what was being suggested. We do suggest eating nuts if people have the ability to digest them. In cases where people have gallbladder and liver problems, it's not something we suggest an awful lot of. We also can live in perfect health with massive amounts of protein from sprouts and algae and sea vegetables, and there's not a need to eat the heavy foods. It's more an emotional thing. I know when I changed from a Western diet and then a vegan diet to a raw food diet, my God, did I consume a lot of nuts. So many that I had hemorrhoids for a period of time. Because what's happening is we're eating from emotion. We're not eating from nutritional need. Over the last 19 years, I've been observing people who eat large amounts of coconut oil all have major cholesterol problems. And 100% of the people that I've looked at, which number in the hundreds now, for that period of time, all unanimously have high cholesterols. So what happens in and of itself, this oil from palm, which is a saturated fat, it impairs the ability for the gallbladder and liver to function in the way it should. So your animal body creates more cholesterol than it's really needed to create. Not a good idea to consume lots of coconut oil. We do think that little bits for the average person, again, without liver and gallbladder problems, is probably healthy. A tablespoon 3, 4, 5 times a week. What is in the coconut oil that has been discovered that's amazingly effective for the brain if you can take it and extract it from it, are the mid-range triglycerides that have helped people with early-stage dementia, energy, etc. I'm happy to hear from a young 17-year-old. My wife began her transition at 16 and myself at 20, so congratulations for starting before you get sick. You ask about calonetics and you ask about weight, your own body weight, being great weightlifting. There's none better. I can tell you that when I'm at the gym 3 days a week, always I lift my own body weight. That's first. I also add in free weights and machines to form and to shape different areas of my body. But foremost, your own body weight is going to give you the ability to lift heavier weight without the potential for injury or very small potential for injury. Make sure that somebody who knows what they're doing trains you with this, as I was fortunately trained 35 years ago by an 82-year-old man who saw me making so many mistakes on free weights. He said, "I can't take another day, you may hurt yourself." So came over and taught me how to do pull-ups and dips and all the things that are impressively important for building muscle mass and body weight. As of today in the United States of America, if a food is labeled organic, it is not genetically modified. But let me tell you, these rulings, these laws are being chipped away constantly. We had to actually secure lobbyists in Washington to help to protect not only your rights, but the rights of all people in this country. Other countries have variations on organic laws. Some of the European nations have very strict ones, other ones very loose ones. What we do know is that they would like to take away that ruling. As of recently, the lovely group called Monsanto just had approved in the United States Roundup under a different name to be used on organic farming. So genetic modification is one thing that they have yet to pull off. They're going to attempt to do that, I can assure you. But at this point, organic doesn't mean what it did a year ago. Local organic foods are the best. Growing sprouts in your home 12 months a year out of organic seed assures you to get the best, highest nutritious food and preclude the need to worry about governments and unscrupulous industries that really have more profit in their mind than people. It's an interesting question. I'm usually asked nutritional questions, so it's a delight for me to answer a question on spirituality and God. When I was at school as a young man, there was a period of time I became an atheist, and quite easily became an atheist because of the religious training that I had as a youth. The God that I learned about, and many of you also, was an angry God that was always watching me to make sure that I made mistakes so someday I'd burn. And so it was a very smooth transition for me not to want to have anything to do with that. Then I began this work dealing with people who were very, very close to death, and started to see that one thread that ran through every single case of recovery was a spiritual. And every healing really has a spiritual component that sparks it. Yes, we have to eat the right food and think the right thoughts and be in the right environments. But more so than all of that, you have to have a purpose and a reason and a fulfillment to live. And you have to realize that you're part of a bigger system, the universal system, etc. I do not purport to know what religion would be best for you. I can tell you one thing. I think that many religions have been hijacked by men with vested interest. And so we have to be very cautious about what you do align yourself with. I do also want to tell you that I wrote a book some 15 years ago called Spirituality in Life and Healing. And this may be something that could help you. It's a small booklet that any fair reader could read in 2 to 3 hours. And it was my observation after focusing on this particular subject, you know, the larger world than just my world, and what my conclusions were. So thank you for that question. This is an interesting question from France, where I love your country. What you have to know is that if you are eating the Hippocrates diet and everything is perfectly fine, and then you take a sprouted lentil and at times you have watery diarrhea, I would look into the possibility that you may have an allergy to that. Even healthy people eating remarkably healthy foods, because of our past habits, sometimes have developed allergies to things that you would never suspect. That was one of the surprising things to me 4 decades ago when I began all this work. So look at that more than anything else. Number two, I would doubt that it's a bacteria on that. Bacteria is everywhere, and healthy bodies with strong immune systems, certainly people who live this way and have brought about strength and recovery from it, literally wouldn't be suffering or enduring a bacterial problem from something as pristine as a lentil. I would also make sure that the sources you get the lentils from are good sources. I know that in France you grow many great grains and legumes, etc. You could also do this. I'd be willing to look at this here microscopically. You could take 3 or 4 or 5 of these little lentils, put them in an envelope with a note, and send them over here to us, and maybe in an upcoming video we can talk about it. Here's a man of my own heart that loves his wife, and she has just been diagnosed with a uterine fibroid, and of course went to the allopathic doctor, which is a wise thing to do initially, by the way, to be diagnosed and to see what they say. And they are, of course, giving the pharmaceutical possibility. Now, have we seen uterine fibroids reversed through natural lifestyles? And the answer is yes. You may also want to find an alternative physician close to you that uses electromagnetic frequency therapy, cold laser frequency therapy, as we do here at Hippocrates, and maybe knows nutrition, so they can target particular herbs, particular nutrients and supplements that have helped to reverse this. Your wife's age is important in this factor. Younger ladies would have more of a problem reducing it than older ladies, where the estrogen levels go down. Number two, we have created particular nutrients and supplementation to address this specific thing, but without knowing more, our team here couldn't really tell you or give you advice on it. But good luck, and I would certainly go, if there's not pain or danger involved, in the non-invasive, positive way before you do anything radical.